Chris, CJ here. I wanted to thank you for sending me your swing. This is the first time I've had the pleasure of looking at your swing, so I want to talk about this just really quick. Couple things. First thing we're going to look at is the grip. And let me just let this kind of play so we can kind of see it. Just so, you know, the first thing that's going to kind of stand out to you and everyone, if anyone's looking at this, is, you know, just how much more this club's going to be coming over the top. So that's the first thing. Now, we're going to see as the club goes back, the club head's way outside. You're really you're trying to keep the club in front of you. The club here at this point, you can see how it really should be on this side of the hand, so it gets over there to the left, more of in a laid off position, so the club's out of balance, and then you throw it, and again, this is just because the camera you're using, you can see where the club head's kind of out here outside your hands, so it's just blurry. Don't worry about that. I mean, it is just probably an iPhone or something like that. If you are using a camera, you can set shutter speed, and that'll allow you to see it a little bit better. If you're using an HD camera, which you probably are, but it is blurry, but that's like on your iPhone. So, having said that, Chris, let's talk about some of the things. And I expect us to have a little working relationship here that we can kind of continue to improve you. So each month we're going to give you kind of something to work on, and I want you to kind of focus on that. From a setup position, if you look at how much of your right hip I see and how little of your left hip I see, ultimately what that tells me is that you are leaning a little bit forward. Okay? Just, you know, it's kind of looks like the camera's a little off, but we want to be able to get those matching. So if you just kind of kicked your left hip forward, which we talk about in my signature series, lowering your right hip, bringing your right hip down, that will make your left hip kind of go towards the target, and you're golden. All right, that's it. Now, with your grip, it's very subtle. I want your right finger down just a little bit where your knuckle is on the side of the shaft, and I really want to look at that left-hand grip. It looks like it's a little bit too much up in the palm. We want to make sure that that left-hand grip, I'll attach sort of a video here for you to get your grip on there and get that correctly. The reason I know your grip's off is by looking over here on the left, the club face is a little bit on the closed side. So the question I'm going to have to ask you, though, is from this position, you probably hit either dead pulls or you just slice it. So you do a nice job. I don't really see a big chicken wing here, so I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit more pulls, but definitely could be a slice. That's just typically what happens when you are over the top. So, having said that, all right, so we're going to look at your grip, get your left hand in the fingers a little bit more. Probably make this left hand, turn it to the right. I want it a little bit stronger. This right hand's going to be, that V of your right hand is going to be right there. That's good, okay? The problem exists is when your left hand gets weak and your right hand, your left hand gets weak, which means it's turned a little bit too much to the left, and your right hand gets strong. When that happens, what typically happens is someone will shut the face down, which is going to make it very difficult for you to pitch the ball, you know, 30, 40 yards, because you're just going to be exposing, you know, the face right into the ground. So, let's talk really quick about body motion over here on the right. As we go back, we want this right hip, this space will actually go from right there at address to probably there, because the right hip is turning. So let's see how yours works. You're going to see that is a classic slide. So all your weight shifts almost basically, if you will, to the outside of your right foot. There's a drill, the pivot drill that I talk about in my signature series. That's going to be something you're going to do. But very simply, all you have to do is from setup, just drop the club, put your hands right on your hips, right here and here. One hand on your right hand on your right hip, left hand on your left hip. Stand there and then just turn over your right shoulder and look at something behind you. For the most part, you're not going to slide. Everyone that I really see do this, they just simply turn in a natural fashion. That's the body motion we're looking for. So we're going to turn our upper body while our lower body stays a little bit more quiet, if you will. It can turn, but we cannot let it slide. So, Chris, one of the things that I want you to understand here is this right here, this little slide. We're going to be working on this, I guarantee you, probably for the next 3, 4, 5 months. You can get better, and you will continue to get better, and as that gets better, you will start hitting the ball a lot better, okay? But you've got so much motion here on the right side, or I'm sorry, on the right view here with your lower body, that it's difficult to be consistent. And you can see even right here, where's your weight? It's definitely more on your right side. You can see this left foot right here is up in the air. So this left foot right here has come off the ground and you're up on your tippy toes, and all your weight is back in this direction. So what should happen, again, is probably a little bit more right here. And let me just draw this line right here so you can see this with Tiger. So as this goes, you're going to see how your right hip just, you break that line, everything shifts over as you look at Tiger here. You're going to see how his right hip pocket turns. You can see how there's a little bit more space being generated in there, just a little bit, and that's what we're after. Now, again, Tiger's pretty flexible. You're probably going to have to turn more than he will, so therefore there'll be just a little bit more space. But you can see how his lower body has stayed a lot more quiet, stable, if you will. Then, let me just draw this one more time. Let's just play you quick. Slide, and then at impact, you can see how you're back on it. Watch where Tiger's hip gets to. You can see it's all the way over to a zipper. So that line there. So that's why he's able to compress it. It looks like if you look at his legs, this left leg, if you watch my signature series, we call the triple stack position. Left hip, left knee, left ankle joint, all into natural alignment. Right leg looks like it's all moving forward. If I sort of drew those lines for you, again, it looks more back, and these look like they're more into natural alignment. So that's really the vision of where we're going to get you, okay? When that happens, so many other good things happen. Now, keep in mind, Chris, this is our goal over the next 6 months, all right? Body motion takes a while, okay? So let's talk about what you can do. You've got to work on that currently, but as that happens, you can see your club with the way your body works, okay? You get it up to the top, okay? And because you spin and stay back on your right side, that club comes from outside your head. So that's going to make it very difficult to drive the ball. Not going to be the best driver you could be. You know, just a myriad of things. So here's Alvaro Quiros, longest driver on the planet, if you will. Longest driver on tour. So there, and you're going to see this little motion where the club drops down more from the inside. This is a little bit too much from the inside for most tour players, but with that you can get sort of some sling and flip and you can hit it farther. So that's one reason why he does hit it so far, is the club comes from underneath that line. But I could show you a lot of guys like Mickelson and other guys that are shoulder planers. More long drivers are shoulder planers, but that's pretty good though still. That's going to be the image. So very simply, what are you going to do? You're going to swing it up to the top. You're going to work on that pivot drill a lot. Then you're going to take it up to the top. And first off, you're going to take it more to the inside. We've got to get that club swinging. We want that club head on those lines, or on this, covered up your hands right here. As you do that, so let the club swing. And then simply from here, I want you to feel like you keep your back and hips to the target. This is sort of day one, if you will. Let's just kind of get the overall look to the swing. When you keep your back close to the target longer, you can allow your arms to drop more from the inside. You can put a head cover right here just outside the ball and feel like you're going to swing it from inside and miss it. Okay? So I'm glad that you're an Insiders member. I'm glad that we're going to be able to work here. I want to see your swing, probably just in a week or so. I just want you to send back literally the drills of the pivot drill, you doing that properly, maybe with your hands on your hips, show me that, and then just give me a feel of the downswing, not even hitting a ball. So
we're going to first discuss the grip. The grip is probably the most important area of the golf swing, mainly because it's the only contact you have with the club throughout the swing. So I want to do this little drill with you guys at home, and if you can sort of go ahead and place your left hand in front of you, and this is for a right-handed golfer, we're going to want the club to sit from the knuckle of this left hand to the base pad of this pinky. All right? That is basically the fingers of our left hand. If you can do that and go ahead and hinge the club up this way, you can feel how your wrists will work this way. This is a tremendous source of power for you in your golf swing. If you do not have that, you're going to have a hard time swinging the club. Vice versa, if you're at home watching this right now, go ahead and place the club right in the lifeline of your left hand, just like this. So this is where most people, if you see that your glove is worn out in this spot, you know that the club is sitting way too high up in the palm. This is robbing you of distance and accuracy. So place the club in the lifeline, and this is just for demonstration purposes. Try to hinge your wrist now. You'll notice it's going to be much more difficult. You're going to try to use your elbow and even your body to create that power. So again, we want to see the club in the fingers of the left hand. A couple drills that you can do for this, if you just hold your right hand on the shaft and you hold the club at 45 degrees, it's going to naturally sit like that. A lot of times, people, when the club is sitting on the ground like this, they want to put their hand on there, and you're going to see that naturally it wants to go into the lifeline. That's why it's very difficult when the club is sitting on the ground like this to put the club in the fingers. So again, let's go back up here with the club at a nice 45-degree angle. You just place your hands on it from that position. And from face on, what you're going to see here when you place the club down, you'll see that the V formed by my thumb and forefinger will point towards my right ear. That's where we want it. That's a nice neutral grip. When looking down from here without moving my head, I can see my first knuckle, second knuckle, and maybe part of my third knuckle, just maybe half of it. So 2.5 knuckles of the left hand is a good neutral grip at this point. Back to this position here, back to that grip. Now that we have the left hand on there, we're going to place our right hand and just let it on the shaft and just let it slide down so that our lifeline covers up our thumb. From this view, what it would look like, again, you want to place the shaft from the base pad of your forefinger to the base pad of your palm, just like that, and let it slide down this way until your lifeline covers up your thumb, just like that. At this point, you have a little bit of wiggle room, if you will. You can use one of 3 grips. You can use the common overlap grip. For you, people with smaller hands, you might want to use the interlock grip. This was also the grip that Tiger Woods chooses and Jack Nicklaus, so it's not a bad grip as well. And or the more common for kids is the baseball grip. It's a very good grip to use. It really allows your hands to work during the golf swing. Whichever grip you choose, it really doesn't matter to me, whichever one is comfortable, but the most important thing to remember about the grip is that we want the left hand in the fingers, and we want our right hand basically sitting on there nice and comfortable. The second grip drill that I want to cover today, which is very easy to do on the course. You might find this easier to do while you're out playing, basically what you want to do is just let the club sit flat against the ground like it would normally, but you can notice how it's sitting behind me, just like this. Okay, we don't want to let the club sit up vertical in this fashion. So what we're going to do is just let the club sit back like this, and if you notice with this, you can see that the club just wants to naturally sit in my fingers just like that. Go ahead and place your hand on it just like that, and that was a great way for you to get the left hand on the club in the proper way while on the course. From here then you can go ahead and go back, and we're going to hold this right hand again from the base pad of your forefinger to the base pad of your palm, and just slide it down just like we did in the other grip drill until your lifeline covers up your thumb, and you can go from there.
The pump drill is a great drill to learn lag in the downswing. What we want to do, we are assuming that your backswing is pretty good at this point. As you swing up to the top, we're simply going to hold our position, drop our right arm down where our right elbow is in front of our right hip. Do that once, do that twice, and on the third one, slowly swing through and hit the shot. This is a drill. Make sure when you're doing this, you are holding that lag, feeling where that club is at this point. Left arm is straight. I've got a 90-degree position. This is a way that you can hit the ball farther and more solid in your golf swing.